All right. Well, hey, you guys. Welcome to our first Builder Circle. I am really glad that you guys are here. And tonight is really, we're just going to kind of lay the foundation of where we're going with this. But I really just want to compliment you guys for making the decision to raise your hand and say, you know what? I'm not satisfied with where I am and I want more. And that's exactly why I started this group because, like you, um, I have had mixed emotions about this business. It's happened for honestly over the entire 15 years that I've been a coach. There's always going to be emotion tied to self-employment. It's always going to be there. But for those that have been around for a while, I mean, our landscape looks different. We've got a new rebranding, a company coming. Some of the things we used to do don't work anymore. And I just decided I had to make a decision. I think when you talk about our leadership principles and being above the line or below the line. I really think there's two, right? We can be in the victim mentality. Below the line, we blame our external circumstances, our lack of time, whatever it might be. And then there's above the line, which is creator. The position of creator that, you know what, this is the deck of cards I've been handed. And so now what am I going to do with it? So I drew that line in the sand for myself because probably like many of you guys that are on the call, my business doesn't look like it did a few years ago. And there's a lot of reasons why I want it to be there again. And so what was going to be important was I knew to know who was going to grow with me, who wanted to do this with me. So this group, I'm proud of you. I mean, we are going to together be the leaders of this team. I am confident that 6 months from now and a year from now, our screen on Team Time will be filled with new faces in addition to ours, because we made this decision tonight. So we're not going to spend a lot of time on introductions, things like that. We'll get to know each other through our actions, through conversations that take place in this room. Um, we've got our private chat, our Facebook Messenger thread. A lot will happen in there. And what we're doing is, as you've submitted your builder's worksheet, which we're going to talk about in depth tonight, once that is completed and you've submitted it to me, then you will be added to the group. And I also want to do a one-to-one mentor session with each of you as well. So I will be sharing my calendar link because I think it could be real powerful for us to dig deeper into your answers and maybe gain clarity, maybe be challenged a little bit, because I know that I don't do well alone. I need my own mentorship, and most of us need somebody to kind of put our feet to the fire. So tell me, I think for most of us on this call, maybe just a few, I've received your builder's worksheet. And a big reason why we're doing that is the only way we can move forward is to get real clear and grounded on where we are and what it is that we want and why it's important to us. If we stay in a place of ignoring our numbers, denial, not, whether that's the scale you're afraid to step on or opening up Connect and looking at your business, um, you know, that plus if you don't have clarity of where you're going in a smart, achievable format, a goal, we can't rely on hoping and wishing anymore. So as you filled that out, what I would like, there's 20 of us on this call, drop one word in the chat of an emotion that came up for you during that process. Did you feel overwhelmed? Did you feel confident? Like, okay, I get it. I know where I'm going. Just drop one word in the chat. Oops. Okay. Awesome. Okay. I appreciate your honesty. I guess I should have started with that this is a safe zone for us. There will be vulnerability in this room, and what happens in this room stays in this room. We'll be doing some hot seat coaching occasionally, and being honest with something like this is not a place for us to pretend at all. So I'm seeing words like I see a few, like Diane is excited, Linda, hopeful, Monica, scared. I get that. Bill Ellis, start. Tell me more about that word, Bill.
Well, I think over the last year, I had a lot of side projects and things just kind of fell apart. So we're pretty much back to square one. So it kind of feels like a complete restart.
I think that's a great way for all of us to look at it, right? Just clean slate, taking our eyes off the rearview mirror of what might have happened, and also deciding to check our fears, our stories, our excuses at the door. So I love that word. All right. Um, Monica, tell me a little bit about your word scared.
Um, well, it was funny because I'm a late entry. And I feel like I am also in a totally need to restart. Like I'm scared because I've gone backwards in my habits. I've been gone backwards in below the line thinking, all the things. And I just didn't ever want to get back to this point, so I'm kind of scared. Like, can I dig myself out of it? Or is just, you know what I mean? So I'm kind of scared that I could have success in round two, like I did in round one, or will I just stay stuck? So I think that's what I'm scared of. Yep.
So if you can relate to being a little scared, put a one in the chat. Thank you for going first, Monica.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Julie, tell us about clarity, what you're feeling, Julie Apple.
Hmm. I think as I went through and wrote down my personal numbers and then wrote down for my health and then for my business, I realized there's a definite reason why my business hasn't grown, but also I don't have excitement. How can I have run something on a lack of excitement? So I've just put my energy more towards my life coaching, which I am super excited about, but yet seeing like what's coming with Optavia, I realized, gosh, I want that as well. So it was like this clarity around why have felt slow and stuck. And now I feel like, okay, I know what I'm looking for. I want
Yeah.
that back.
Yeah. And the lack of excitement, what do you think the contributing factors are
Hmm.
to that?
I think, well, if it's okay to be completely honest, all the things I'm seeing, like with friends and people in my circles, they're like, I just saw it again the other night in a Facebook group. One of my old Optavia clients, somebody had asked about their experiences on GLPs, and she put a before and after picture. I've lost 70 pounds. And so I was like, oh, this is what used to be Optavia. So it was kind of like this like gut punch of like, oh, this is the energy that was around Optavia, but now so many have it around GLPs, which we know is not really health, but it's where the excitement's at. And so that I think has taken away my energy, kind of just the wind out of the sails, because I just see that with a lot of clients, old clients. I'm like, ugh, why is that got to be the exciting thing?
Hmm. What is your prediction? What may happen with that going forward?
Man, I wish it was 2 years ago that it had died. I mean, I wish that was not where people were excited and it was more about doing the work. Um,
Mhm.
I do think in time, I don't know how long, but in time, people will see that they're in a deeper hole than they were before. It's just a
Hmm.
matter of time and when.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when will people really take hold of that? And I want health. I don't want just a fast fix. And we saw that with like all of the like what did they call those? Like the stomach surgeries. I can't even remember what they're called.
Mhm.
when people were having their stomachs surgically made smaller. I'm like, why? And I'm glad that's a thing kind of you don't see much anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, that kind of went. Yeah. I was looking for one particular person to possibly share with us, but she's not on. Yeah, I think that a couple of things, and we'll talk more in detail on Team Time about go global, but one thing I greatly remember, even when we can look back and say, oh, we had the glory days or whatever it might be, our 5-in-1 was the GLP-1, right? And I think the biggest complaints of us as coaches was that our clients didn't answer our calls or our clients would not get into the books, right? So we're still dealing with a society that is looking at one aspect of it, just the weight loss component. But I also was reminded very clearly that even us as a company, we were really good at celebrating stage 1 of our program. 10 pounds down in a week, here's the before and after. And we honestly, I think as most of us as coaches dropped the ball when it came to really helping our clients set the stage for transition, which is now called renew, and then the optimization and refine stages. So we have a huge opportunity, I think, to do it better this time, because like people who did stage 1 of our program and then fell off and then needed a GLP-1, I mean, there's a reason why your client needed it, right? The GLP-1 after this, because, so I think that we have a massive opportunity. I think I'm reminded to showcase who we always have been, but for us as coaches to step up and do it better. And we're going to have more clinical data and science behind us to support us even more. So I think it's good that you're still, I think, rooted and this is the truth. This is the truth. So very good. Can anybody relate to what Julie said? Yeah. Yeah. I think it was one thing I'm just in full transparency, like before I went into Go Global was I was starting to lose my faith, honestly, in people a little bit, that they would actually do the work, that people would actually be interested in this. But I will tell you, and Frank, maybe you can confirm, I mean, out of 1,000 people in that room, if I knew 30 to 50, that's a lot. Like that room was filled with executive directors and new executive directors. So it also tells us that a lot of the energy is in identifying new people to join this mission, because I sat with a girl across at lunch and she's like, she had made ED in about 6 months. And she said, what was it like back then? I keep hearing these stories, but like, I don't know what that was. And so, we can almost like, what if we just took that oblivious route and been like, you know what? I'm just gonna, walk out with my flag and I know what I know, what I know. So good. How about you, Meg? You said you were uncomfortable filling it out.
Yeah, I just was I felt uncomfortable a couple of times. Like I worked on it and I'm like, oh, do I know the answer, whatever. And I heard your voice in the back of my head, like, you've got to finish this, like you've got to finish it, like lean into the uncomfortability. And I think that's the key in this season is leaning in to what's uncomfortable and ignoring the noise in the back of your head on, you know, what if or why not.
Yeah. Because the noise keeps us stuck,
Yeah.
right? They always say, like energy flows from what our thoughts are. So as if we're hanging on to that lack of belief or lack of excitement or whatever it might be, it's no wonder your business looks the way it does because we don't have that energy or commitment that we had before. Um, tell me, and maybe drop this in the chat. Where did you have like an aha moment of like maybe where you're out of alignment as you were filling out the worksheet? And you can pop it in the chat. Oh, so Frank, thanks for asking the clarifying question. So, when it came to your health, right, we know that if we are out of integrity with our health, if we're not in alignment, if we're not following the principles or doing everything that we potentially could be doing to move our health forward, that energy shows up, right? When you're doing a health assessment or when you're doing a post or whatever, because we don't feel in alignment. Or, I can tell you one, like with my business, I know the answer is getting in more rooms with people face to face and hosting events. And it's something that that's where the evidence is. And that's something I've been resisting, but that resistance isn't helping me. So I'm out of alignment with what we know moves the dial forward and what was willing to do. Shauna, you want to share a little bit more about that?
Yeah, it wasn't really aha. I mean, I know that I know that I know all the things,
Hmm.
but it's easy to hide things. And when you have to actually put it down and look at it and spell it correctly and make sure it's written in there, I mean, it's just like, crap. I didn't really want to write this.
Yeah.
I wanted to write something different, and I could have 6, 7 years ago. So yeah, it was hard.
Yeah. But I think without going through this process, and you know what I mean? We've got to do the self-reflection. We have to do what we're doing, or whatever. And I will say the reason we're going to spend a lot of time on this, I see like I need some new ideas and stuff. We will talk about that, but I'll also share that there's really nothing new. There is, you know what I mean? We are about connecting with people, listening to them, finding out what their problem is, offering the solution, right? We don't have to be scientists. We don't have whatever. We have to connect from a human level. And honestly, that is the determining thing. It's our energy around it all and our belief. If we sit in a scarcity mindset, you'll never find clients or coaches. We just won't. It just won't happen because we don't believe it. If we are the neural pathways in our brain, if we believe, you know what, I'm going to do it different. I'm going to do these things. The brain will actually start to look for ways to make it our reality. It's just, I mean, we've all done it, right? How many times have you been stuck on your health journey, spinning your wheels, spinning your wheels, spinning your wheels, and then all of a sudden, one day, you're like, oh, I can't do this anymore. The pain point is enough that I'm ready to do what I know works. And you're right, Frank, none of us are perfect. Frank, how about now? I will share that little video clip from, we're going to show it on Team Time as well. But there was Megan Valentine spoke about basically the concept of making a decision. And then what does that require us as an individual? And Frank, I know this is something that landed pretty hard with you. So would love for you to share a little bit afterwards on it. So give me just a second to share this. Mhm. Okay. And if you can't hear, I'm going to start it in just a second. If you can't hear or whatever, somebody just come off mute and tell me.
Passionate. Like this really matters. And I understand that passion looks different passion looks different in me than it does in Dan, right? It looks different in you, but passion is not a feeling, it's a choice. It's a choice. And we already, in case you haven't heard, I'm pretty sure we could have called this year Go Global Decision. That has been the theme, okay? You have to make a decision and you gotta be passionate. And when we get out there, it just keeps making me think of this. When I was in high school, I honestly hit rock bottom pretty young, and I knew that I needed to change my life. I ended up finding the Lord, and I had to do a whole reversal of my life. I couldn't hang out with the same people, I didn't wear the same clothes, I didn't listen to the same music, I didn't whatever. I ended up, head to head with some people who were like, I don't understand what you're doing. I was completely misunderstood. I was challenged. I was alone. I was figuring things out. And I learned this statement to be so true. A man with a testimony is never at the mercy of a man with an argument. And can I just tell you, if you know who you were before, You found this community, your body, your mind, your spirit was transformed before you found this opportunity, and you found fulfillment and being able to use your gifts and being able to help people. Like, there is not a single person or situation out there that can keep you from doing what you say you're going to do, but it is going to require passion. You don't have to worry if people are going to, believe whatever you're saying. Do they believe that you believe what you're saying? Get passionate. Like, this really matters. And I understand that passion looks different.
I've watched that like 42 times. Just kidding. Keep replaying it. Keep replaying it. So, Frank, talk to us.
Yeah, I mean, I recorded several of the speakers at Dallas Glow Global just to kind of remember the emotion, remember the words, remember the thoughts when I got home. Because it's easy while you're there to have that, we've all heard it, the jacuzzi experience, and 2 to 3 days later, life hits and the microwave breaks and you got something at work and your kids get sick and you forget what it felt like to be in the hot tub. So I recorded several of those things, and this one really hit home with me because I'm very passionate when it comes to this business. And this business is great, but unfortunately, with this business, the only thing we can control is up to the rank of ED. If you want to go beyond ED, it requires others to be passionate. I mean, we can't control that. And we can't instill passion in others. We can try to motivate, we can try to inspire, we can set the example, we can teach, but we can't instill passion in them. So I love this takeaway. And, the bottom line is I think we're just looking for people that will develop passion. I don't think you have passion on day one as a coach, unless you're rare. I think you learn to grow into that passion. And I think everybody has the ability and the capability to have passion because we're all passionate about something, our family, our kids, our faith. People are passionate about their job, their career, their pets. I mean, people are passionate about something. Why not be passionate about changing the world, improving the health of America, helping other lives? Why not be passionate about that? So I think, it really hit home with me. And so right now, and the problem with finding other people to be passionate, you put yourself out there to be severely disappointed. And that's was kind of the hard for me to come on this call and be part of this because I have put myself out there so many times to so many people and poured my heart out only to hear people say, I'm going to build it. I'm going to be there. I'm going to show up. I'm going to do this. I'm a rah, rah, rah. And 6 months to a year later, they're gone. They're not even there. And like UD and like Meg, Shauna and I, we had a very nice business at one point, and we've lost massive amounts of volume. We lost massive amounts of people. We lost massive amounts of executive directors. If I would tell everybody on this Zoom how many executive directors we lost in our group, you guys would be passionate about going to the bathroom and having vomiting and diarrhea. So right now we are in a rebuilding stage, and I'm passionate, and I just got to try to keep on calls like this. I got to try to keep my passion down, but I'm looking for others that want to grow to the same passion that Sean and I have.
Yeah. Yeah. And one of the things that I appreciate you sharing that, Frank, and a lot of honesty there. One of the things that Megan Valentine shared was that, we make a decision for passion, right? Like a decision, like you guys made a decision. I'm going to commit to this. I'm going to do it. I know I'm going to step into some uncomfortable, but I'm ready to do it, right? A lot of people won't do that. Right. There's a lot of complacency in the world. There's a lot of victimhood in the world. You can look around, right? So we are unusual in terms of who we are, like Optavia, our community. et cetera, is unusual. And it just ironically, I read in one of my devotions today was, well, one of the things that Megan Valentine talks about, what is you almost have to take on like a new identity, right? Like if you are going to be, let's say, Bill, you are starting from ground zero, you want to be an executive director making $3,000 a month. Well, you know what? The new identity is Bill, who is showing up doing the things that an executive director who makes $3,000 a month, I think I said year, month, does, right? If my role is to, and honestly, my role is to be global director is my goal, right? I was IPD at one point, but I'm not even using the word rebuild. My word is build. I am building a strong, deep, global business. And so I have to show up and say, what would Global D do in this scenario, right? When I'm faced with fear or comfort, what would Global D do, right? She would choose to walk through that fear. So, following on what Meg said, something that really stood out to me that they said that, you know, one of our leadership principles with Optavia is the obstacle is the way. And the question was, how true is that for you? Like, are you really embracing the obstacle or are you mad at the obstacle? Right? Like Julie, the GLP-1s, like I'm mad that that is what we used to have, right? We can choose it or we can say, you know what? I've got a really big role here to be out to educate, to catch the fall from the GLP-1, right? To decide it's determined by how we embrace it. I can fight having an in-person event, but I also know change happens in room. Change happens with real life stories, real conversations, real testimonies. And who am I holding back if I choose to stay in my comfort zone and not do that? So beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, what would a successful coach do? What would a healthy person do? Right? Might be talking about your personal health. What would a healthy person do? And Doug Wood really challenged us with our personal health and with our businesses, but like with our personal health, he said, we have a massive problem out there in the world. We have a massive problem. I think the statistic is up to 94% of people are struggling with one symptom of metabolic dysfunction or more. Are you going to choose to be part of the problem? Or are you going to choose to be the anomaly who sets the example and raises the standard?
Hey,
So
Dee,
yeah.
can I just 1 minute share what Doug Wood said to me?
Yeah, that would be great.
So Doug and I had about 10, 15 minutes one-on-one time off to the side, and I was telling him about my no sugar. You all saw that I was on no sugar 45 days or whatever, and then I came off and kind of blew it and ate 2 cheesecakes in one day and blah, blah, blah. So I was telling him, I said, you know what? I'm going to go back on the no sugar, and this time I'm going to try to do it for 90 days. You know what his response to me was? What are you going to do on day 91? That hit me like a brick because it's not a short-term thing. It's a lifestyle. Thank
Yeah.
you. I didn't mean to interrupt, but you mentioned Doug Wood. He's incredible.
Yeah, I was hoping you would bring that up, Frank, because that and I learned a valuable lesson from that conversation and I shared it with Frank that, you know, my vision, and I hope every one of you feels it, is that I love every single person on this team, right? I love every client that I work with. I love every person that I talk to, even if they choose to do something different, right? I have to come from that place of love and seeing people for humans, their weaknesses, etc. One area of opportunity for me is that love often requires us to say the challenging things, to say the hard things. And when Frank was on his no sugar kick, that was on my mind. He was like on day 30, day 31. And I was thinking, what's he going to do when it ends? Like I saw the fall coming and I didn't say anything. So that was a really good reminder that love also requires of us. And think about this with your clients or when we get fearful or coaches that you're working with, that in a loving, gentle way, we have to also challenge others. So, great, great. Well, we talked about personal health, right? So that is first on the list because this is what we do as metabolic health coaches is that we help people with their health and we cannot lead somebody where we are not willing to go. So by no stretch of the imagination does it mean that you have to be perfect or whatever, but every single one of us wants to be, if you in integrity of setting your next goal, whatever that looks like to you. And I specifically chose 6 months from now. And when I work with each one of you individually, when we look at your business and your health, we are going to re-engineer back your 6 month goal. Okay, re-engineer back. What does that mean on a monthly basis to do? But what I didn't want to do is put too much pressure on this 6 weeks, because for some of us, we're still coming to that place of decision. We are starting to maybe schedule and do things that we haven't been doing, and we might be building the foundation that's going to create the fruit for us. So 6 months is a long runway, right? So we can then break that down to where do we want to be at convention? And then, where do we want to be in 45 days? So we'll do that as individuals with you guys. And it was important for us to say, like, what do we want as our business? I know some of us are on this call. We have 0 clients. We're new or whatever. We have 0. Like a win might be getting 3 new clients, right? Like that's your win. And that is great. Like, I want you to know, I know that you might not be standing here saying, I want to be IPD or some big, thriving business, but we all have to start somewhere, and we have to have that vision, just like you put it in ways where you're going. We got to know where we're going, and then we're going to do this, the street side, and the highways to get there. So, any questions about that, like around your goals, or how did that feel when you set out your 6 month goal? Anybody? You can pop off mute. Felt good, Ellen? I love that.
I'll pop off mute. I actually wondered if my 6 month goal was too big or if it was not big enough. Like that, I was a little bit like stuck in my head.
Overthinking the goal.
Yeah, well, just thinking I had this great goal, and then I thought, well, maybe that's not, maybe I can do more than that, so yeah, I'm yes, overthinking.
Okay. I'll take a look at it and review it with you. I didn't have it before we started this call. But what I will say is that your goal needs to create enough tension that we're willing to get out of our comfort zone to do it. And that's why also I want you to spend, if you didn't spend a lot of time on it, I'm going to highly encourage within the next 24 hours that you go back to your worksheet. I've got mine, that you go back to your worksheet and maybe go even a little bit deeper with your why and why are you doing it, right? Like sometimes, like maybe it's even for me, like a lot of what I want is that feeling, and maybe Julie, you were alluding to it, of fulfillment, of purpose, of, feeling proud, et cetera. And so I want to dive a little deeper into that. And I'm going to put a picture of my card, but something that helped me tremendously when I was developing my business a few years ago was I was challenged to think not what rank do you want to be, but basically, how do you want to feel? Like, what does that really mean to you? So I wrote my new card out today, with, global D is, or she feels accomplished, fulfilled, proud, not stressed about money, and she feels chill and fun, that she's enjoying it again. And so really thinking about that, I'm going to challenge each one of us. That will be one of our homework assignments, is to put this out for you. This sits right here on my keyboard, right? Like that's what I did before and it worked. Like I'm thinking, what did I used to do? Well, I had clear goals. I knew how I wanted to feel, and I stepped into who she is. And so that's what we need to, each of us, we're going to be challenged to do. So dive in a little bit deeper. So takeaways from tonight is we're going to, one, write out your card, which I'll put a picture of. You're going to schedule your one-to-one, with me. And then 2 things to help us in the area of acquiring clients. And really, it's just really, this is in terms of connection with others. First one being to make a post, like a declaration post, like I am, or I have decided, or I have never been more passionate about, or I have been reminded about, and what it is that you want to do. If you want to build a team, you can say, I am, extremely excited about building a team for our new company, because it is going to be a new company, a new brand, new products, new claims, all of that. Like I am excited to build a new company, and share. Think about what in your world changed because of Optavia, like Megan Valentine said. Where were you? Like, if you know your testimony, I was here and now I'm here. So does that make sense? A declaration, or hey, like I am more passionate than ever. I would like to help 3 new clients achieve their health goals. And write to the person that maybe the person that you were before Optavia. Let's make it real specific. But a declaration, I think it's going to help you to actually put yourself out there and state it to the world, what that looks like. And do it in a way that feels comfortable. If you want my help with it, take a look at it. I'm happy to. And then the second thing is between now and this is in addition to whatever you typically do right now. And a lot of you guys have your daily commitments, but to start 20 conversations. So you could think about that. I'm sorry, I wanted to say 10 conversations. I want to make this achievable, 10 conversations. So you can text people or you could private message them, but 10 real conversations. It could be you reach to somebody you did a health assessment with, right? I saw 1 or 2 people say they don't do a good job with following up with people who've been interested. Maybe 1 or 2 people like, you have been on my mind. I keep thinking about this program, the changes that are coming, et cetera. I'm just curious where your health is. So 10 conversations this week. You can break it. It could be a outreach to invite somebody to coaching. It could be a who's on your heart, but none of this like, hey, just wanted to wish you a happy birthday. Yeah. Hey, just, just thinking about you, like really something that's specific to an individual. So that could be 2 a day for the next 5 days. You can do it however you want. You can do it all at once if you want. But with me, what I'm going to do is I'm going to sit down and think about who's on my mind, who's on my heart for the program, for coaching, and let's step into that. And I love Shauna. Great to reach out to inactives. We are seeing on a team more individuals coming back than we are new clients coming in. So if you've been coaching for a while, you've got a melting pot of people as potential. All right. And then, of course, staying on track with your normal health. There's going to be a weekly checklist that I will do as well, so that each week we will start the call with wins and challenges. We're not next week going to talk about client acquisition. We will have a teaching moment, and then we will go into action. We'll do a little hot seat coaching, and then we'll go into action. So questions about that, or I would love to know kind of like maybe put in the chat, what's an adjective you're feeling right at this moment?
Dee, can I share?
Yes.
I'm going to put it in the private thread if that's okay. But I just am at the tail end of a podcast with Mel Robbins, and she's interviewing a neurosurgeon, and he's talking about manifesting. And that sounds so hooey-wooey, but he does a beautiful job talking about setting goals. And when you talked earlier about kind of reinventing yourself and really kind of forging a new path forward, I'm going to listen to this like again and again and again. And he sounds like the kindest, most emotional man you would ever want to meet. Like for a neurosurgeon, he's not uppity. And it just, he brings such passion to it. And he makes you think about it in ways that I never thought about it before. And he talks about the sequence of writing, reading, things that actually rewire your brain to lock it in. So I just want to let you know, I'm going to share that in the.
That's great. I love it. Manifestation is a real thing. Like it falls in the woo-woo category, but there is science behind it. And actually, I'm in a women's mastermind of female business owners, and one of them is a personal coach, but she's intuitive. She does a lot of reading. She's very much on the woo-woo side. But I went to her manifestation workshop, and then she had a part two. And the first part was just, name it, claim it, that sort of thing. Part two was actually the neuroscience behind it that backs it. The other thing, really, I'm going to add it as an assignment, is I put in there and listen to it on a walk, multitask, do whatever you need to do. But there was a last week on Dan Valentine's call, they had a special guest. Her name is Amy. Her last name's escaping me, but she lost both of her feet from, I think, bacterial meningitis when she was a child. And she was told she wouldn't walk again. She'd never snowboard again. Not only does she snowboard, but she was on Dancing with the Stars and all this stuff. So she is an incredible comeback story. Diane Nix, I know you thought it was powerful, that call.
Yeah,
Do you want to
Amy
share anything?
Purdy.
Amy Purdy.
Mm-hmm.
And
Great.
ironically,
Balance forward. So,
yeah, what was it? What was
balance forward. Like, instead,
Balance
just like you
forward.
said earlier about restart, let's just start now and go future.
Just go. Yeah. So that is incredible. And ironically, when I was in Texas, I flew in early, and then my friend and I drove down to Fredericksburg, and then we drove all the way back to Dallas, and there are billboards all over the place. And it was all this inspirational stuff, and it was her. And I was like, wow, this is like a thing. And she was on an Optavia call. Like, that's absolutely incredible. But if you need inspiration, etc. So, your declaration card, 10 conversations, and watch that video. So, all right, I'm gonna pause this for now, and then we will welcome in everybody for team time. I hope you will stay on. We're gonna do our takeaways, and then at 8:30, Dr. A and Dan. It's a long night, but Dr. A has agreed that he's going to do his presentation from Friday night, his opening presentation at the event, and it was powerful. Even he has shifted as well, so it will be worth it to be there for that. So. Go take your bio break, get some water, do whatever you need to do, and I'll see you in just a few.